Alright everyone, so for this video sa ating Risk Management Academy na series, ang pag-uusapan natin is a different approach for different styles. Okay, ano ang ibig sabihin nun? Now, we all trade different based on our strategies, our beliefs, and time capabilities. Okay? Strategies meaning ito yung mga ginagamit natin supposedly to find the type of trades that we want. Sila yung ginagamit natin to execute, not just sa entry, but determining possible targets or trail stops and what have you, no? Lahat tayo may kanya-kanyang strategy. Iba sa atin, maaaring gumagamit ng price action lang. Yung iba, gumagamit ng mga indicators. Yung iba, perhaps, gumagamit sila ng mga order books and what have you. Tapos, important din yung beliefs. Now, some people believe that technical analysis is a bunch of, well, BS, no? And for them, they really hold firm to that. Naniniwala sila na hindi kakikita ng pera using technical analysis. Now, on the flip side, some people also believe na fundamental analysis is as much of an art as technical analysis is. After all, given historical data, it's not an exact prediction of what's going to happen in the future. 'Di ba? Maraming pa ring mga pwedeng mangyari tulad ng mga pandemics and such that could alter yung data na pwedeng lumabas sa isang company. Now, I am not gonna say in one way, shape, or form which one is better than which. All I know is a lot of people tend to bash something na hindi nila napapagana themselves. Sasabihin nila na BS ang technical analysis or BS ang fundamental analysis or BS ang quants simply because hindi nila mapagana. They tried it and they failed. So para sa kanila, hindi effective yon. And that's partly true. Para sa kanila, hindi siya effective. Pero it doesn't mean na hindi siya magiging effective para sa'yo. Kasi nga, kanya-kanya tayo, may kanya-kanya tayong strategies at paniniwala. And they need to align with our time capabilities. Okay? Kunwari, mahilig ka mag-scalp pero wala ka namang oras, then perhaps you need to reconsider kung yun ba yung tamang approach para sa'yo sa trading. Gusto mo mga mabilisang trades, gusto mo yung mga breakouts, pero gusto mo hindi ka nakabantay kasi busy ka sa work, busy ka sa kids, what have you, no? So, we all trade different based on all of these. Now, I want you to keep that in mind kasi medyo magiging critical siya sa discussion natin today. Now, before we continue, I'd just like to share this with you. It's a math cheat sheet from Edgewonk, no? Now, I've included a link to this in the description box below kung gusto niyo siyang i-download. Okay? I find it pretty handy, lalo na nung simula. So, it includes yung R multiple, like for example, ano yung expected R multiple mo and ano yung required win rate in order for that type of multiple to work. Diba? Yung kung nag-drawdown ka, kunyari nag-down ka ng 50%, you need to earn back 100% para ma-recover mo yun, and so on. Meron ditong expectancy, how you calculate for expectancy, losing streaks and loss of capital, exponential growth, and consecutive losses. Now, I'm not gonna waste your time by going through each and every single one, no? Kasi very self-explanatory naman sila. But this type of cheat sheet, at the very least sa akin, nung simula, helped me focus sa importance ng risk. Kasi seeing the numbers in front of me really help eh. Minsan kasi kung naiisip mo lang yung number, naiisip mo lang yung quote-unquote value ng risk management or ng risk itself, it doesn't really sink in eh. But seeing the numbers, comprehending yung depth and yung potential na pwedeng mangyari because of it really matters. So, go ahead, download this. I've included the link for it in the description box below. Now, whenever we're talking about risk management, the first thing that you have to ask yourself, other than yung, tama ba na mag-risk manage ako? Kasi tama yun, sinagutan na natin yun sa unang video eh. So the next thing you have to ask is, does it make sense? Okay, ano ibig sabihin nun? How much should you risk? Now, despite the internet telling you, stick to X or stick to Y, the answer to this question actually depends. Very often, kapag naikinig tayo sa mga nagtuturo sa YouTube or sa mga nagpo-post sa Twitter or sa Investa, mga gurus and what have you, Sasabihin nila sa'yo na dapat hindi hihigit ng 1% risk per trade. When they say 1% risk per trade, it's 1% of your total portfolio per trade. Meaning, kung 100,000 pesos yung portfolio mo at 1% risk, meaning per trade kailangan 1,000 lang ang willing mong mawala. Okay? Kapag sinabing 2% risk, same banana. On a 100,000 peso na portfolio, 2,000 lang ang willing mong mawala sa'yo. Okay? Now, maraming tao ipipilit nila, hindi, dapat 1% risk lang per trade or hindi, dapat 2% risk lang per trade. But, if we're being perfectly honest, okay, mag-iiba talaga ang sagot nito depende kung paano ka mag-trade at depende sa'yo. Ano ibig kong sabihin? The value of R, meaning yung rinerisk natin, di ba? Pinag-usapan natin tong term na to nung first video. If you haven't seen that first video, I've included the link to it and I've included the link to our playlist as well in the description box below. The value of R varies from case to case. Okay? Kasi using a one-size-fits-all approach is lacking and potentially deadly para sa portfolio nyo. Okay? Ito yung hindi naintindihan ng ibang tao minsan eh. Now, let's say na you trade maybe once or twice a week. Okay? Pagka ganon, and you're risking anywhere from mga 1% to 3% of your portfolio, baka medyo kapos sa'yo. Kasi ang konti ng trade mo ang baba ng frequency. Diba? Maybe, if you knew your performance metric, meaning you knew your expectancy rate, you could increase your risk given na konti ka lang naman mag-trade. Paano kung kunwari, sa isang buwan, tulad ng example natin kanina, mga 2 lang yung trade mo, 1 hanggang 3, 2, ganon. Then perhaps the value that you risk could be higher. Kasi nga, ang baba ng frequency. Kung 1% lang ang rinerisk mo per trade, and then every month you take 1 or 2 trades, then baka matagalan ka bago mo maramdaman yung epekto sa portfolio mo. So that's one possible approach, no? I'm not saying na kailangan nyo gawin yun, ha? Para magawa nyo yun, bago nyo taasan yung risk nyo, kailangan alam nyo yung performance metric nyo. Kung hindi nyo alam ano yung win rate nyo, kung hindi nyo makalculate yung expectancy nyo, don't increase yung R simply because konti yung frequency ng trades. Okay? Hand in hand yan. Kaya ako sila pinagsama sa isang header. Also, isipin naman natin kabaliktaran. Paano kung kunwari nag-i-scalp ka and you take anywhere from 5 to 10 trades per day? Siguro naman hindi practical na kapag 5 to 10 trades per day, rinerisk mo 3%, 5% ng portfolio mo. Baka sa loob ng isang araw, sunog na yan. Diba? So, if we're being perfectly honest, the value we risk should depend on frequency ng trades natin and performance. But also on where we are in life. Hindi nyo ba napapansin kapag may mga nagtuturo nagte-trade, lagi nila tinatanong, ano ba ang gusto mong ma-achieve? Kasi madalas kapag bata ka pa, let's say na you're only 20, you just finished college, or you're 22, and then gusto mo lang magsugal, 50,000 pesos for example, na ipapasok mo sa stock market. Kahit na mawala mo yon, you have so many decades left in your life para bawiin yon. In contrast, let's say that you're 40-something years old, may pinapaaral ka 2, 3, 4 na anak, kailangan mo pakainin yung pamilya mo, that 50,000, kapag mabawasan yon, mas malaki ang epekto sa'yo. So, whereas yung unang example, yung estudyante na kakagraduate lang, pwede siya mag-risk ng mas malaki, 10%, 15%, in the hopes na kaya niyang pabilisin yung pag-angat ng portfolio niya. Kasi nga, yung value ng 50,000 iba para sa kanya. Whereas yung tao na kailangan magpakain ng pamilya and so on, maaaring per trade, willing lang niyang i-risk mga 1 to 2%. Dahil kahit na maliit para sa iba sa inyo yung 50,000, para sa taong yon, malaking bagay na. Ilang kain na yon para sa mga anak niya. Ilang pairs of shoes na yon na pang school ng mga anak niya. So lahat talaga tayo, iba-iba yung perception ng value And since iba-iba ang perception natin ng value, the way that we assess yung risk dapat nag-iiba din. So, listening to the guy talking from behind the microphone, across from you, via multiple screens and the internet, doesn't always make sense. Yes, yung mga tinuturo ng karamihan, it's a good starting point. But at the end of the day, kayo po yung kailangan nagsasabi ano yung type of risk na willing nyong i-take kasi lahat tayo nag-iiba. Now, in the future, we'll also be discussing yung other ways to manage risk in terms of assessment ng performance mo for let's say a day or a week. But for now, dyan tayo titigil dito with regards sa value of R when it comes to frequency and performance. Now, before we move on to our next topic, okay, I just wanted to ask you, nagtitake ba kayo ng partial profits on your trades? Paano kayo nagsiset ng targets? Ginagawa nyo ba kunwari randomly pag nag 10% up or 5% up, naglalabas na kayo ng pera? Or perhaps kunwari nauntog sa isang level, lalabas nyo na yung kalahati or maybe 2/3 ng sinugal nyo? The reason why I ask is the next thing that we're gonna discuss is yung pag-take ng partial profits. Now, here I've made a table just to show yung different results ng pagte-take or hindi pag-take ng partial profits. For this particular example, we are assuming that we are doing a 3R winner. Okay? Hindi naman pwedeng mag-random winner lang ako kasi hindi tayo matatapos sa math. Lahat naman yan lagi nag-iiba, di ba? So we're assuming na for this particular trade, nag-set kayo ng target that was 3R away and that it was eventually hit. Okay? Now, sa trade number 1, kapag hindi kayo nag-take ng partial profits, obviously, sa partial, you gain 0. And in the example that we're using, 3,000 pesos yung rinirisk natin as 1R. Meaning, kung natalo tayo sa trade na to, we would lose 3,000 pesos kasi yun yung 1R natin, yun yung risk. Now, if we get a full 3R winner based sa trade number 1, we get 9,000 pesos. So yung total gains natin for that trade is 9,000 pesos. Now, I know what you're thinking. Hindi ba yung mga tao lagi nila sinasabi, oh, yung 20,000 ko naging 50,000 na dahil sa trade na to. 100% gains. But that's not how I like to look at it. Bakit? Kasi yung 20,000 na yon, hindi mo naman sinusugal lahat yun eh. Ang sinusugal mo lang is part ng 20,000. At least I hope na ang sinusugal mo lang is yung part ng 20,000. Therefore, yun lang yung binibilang natin. Yun yung R. Doon sa 20,000 na yon, I am willing to risk 3,000 pesos. So that 3,000 pesos is 1R. Therefore, if it's a 3R winner, diba? 3,000 per R, ergo 9,000. Alright? Now, let's say na you wanted to take partial profits. So si trader number 2 or yung trade number 2 natin will take off half his or her position when we hit 50%, meaning 1.5R. Now, do you see the value of R? It makes everything easier to calculate eh. It makes everything easier to discuss. Talking in terms of, oh, yung 30 ko, naging 36,000. Parang ang laki. Pero totoo lang, pinanalo mo is 6,000. Diba? So ngayon, yung trade number 2, 1.5R, linabas niya yung kalahati ng position niya. So for that position, kumita siya ng 2,250 pesos. Now, once nag-hit ng 3R, ilalabas niya yung natitira. So, kumita siya ng 4,500 pesos from that remaining position. Now, if we add that up, yung total na kinita nung second trade na nag-take ng partial profits halfway is 6,750 pesos. Now, let's assess it again. And the reason I'm doing this is just to show yung contrast. Trade number 3, 30% ng position niya, ilalabas niya as partial profit. Tas yung 70%, he or she is gonna let it run. So again, nung partial, 1.5 kinita, di ba? Nung nag-up na siya, nung nag 1.5R na, Binenta niya yung 30% ng position niya, so he or she gained 1,350 pesos. And then once we hit 3R, yung remainder, binenta, and he or she gained 6,300 pesos. For a total of 7,650 pesos. Now, when you look at it in these terms, maaaring naiisip mo na, teka, yung 9,000 di naman nalalayo sa 7,650 eh. Tapos yung 7,650 di naman nalalayo sa 6,750 eh. And you would be correct. However, what if you were trading in higher increments? All of these will now start to matter a lot more. Kasi, kung kunwari sabihin natin, naging times 10 yan, meaning maging 90,000, 67,500, and 76,500, we are now talking about a more significant sum na nawawala sa'yo. Diba? Plus, paano pa pag times 100 na? We are now talking about a very substantial sum na nawawala to sa final result. Now, to further drive the point in, I want you to take a look at this chart ni Dave Mabe. So, the guy did the research. I just found this chart that he posted, no? So, if he were taking partials for his trades, yun yung green na line. Tas if he was not taking partials, yun yung red na line. Now, you will see na ang laki nung difference na once you add everything up over the course of a substantial number of trades, nagiging very significant yung difference from taking partials to not taking partials and just letting it hit target. Now, alam kong iniisip nyo, hindi ba kapag nag-take ako ng partials tas hindi yan nag-take ng target, at least mas maliit yung talo ko or mas maliit yung mawawala sa akin? That's true. But, at the end of the day, para maging significant or insignificant itong research na to sa inyo, kailangan alam nyo yung sarili nyong statistics. How often is it na nagtitake ka ng partials pero nag-hit din naman ng target yung trades nyo? Is it very often? Does it happen like what? 60%? 70%? 80% of the time? Kasi if you know your data, then this research, this chart, this graph becomes significantly more important. Kung kunwari napapansin mo, you never hit target. Parang magsaset ka ng target, tapos never naman natatamaan, then perhaps you should be taking partials. But perhaps you should also be considering na hindi ka marunong mag-set ng target. Kasi never na-hit eh. A lot of us are taught na hindi, dapat yan position trade lang lagi. Papasok ka, hold mo lang, trail mo yung stop mo, tapos kapag na-hit na yung trail stop, out ka na. That's 100% correct, but also very simplistic because it doesn't account for other types of trading. Paano kung hindi hiyang sa'yo yung pamamaraan na yon? Not to mention the fact na yung pamamaraan na yon may sarili-sarili din nilang mga flaws. So, you need to know your data para alam mo if you should be taking partials or you should let things run to target because you could be missing out on a significant amount of money. And that amount of money could be the difference from you, quote-unquote, making it as a trader or wala. Parang lumulutang ka lang, nagta-tread water ka lang. So you need to make sure that you know. And how do you know? Siguro naman alam niyo na yung sagot, di ba? Journaling. A lot. So guys, dito po nagtatapos yung video natin na to, no? So ito yung first na official lesson natin, I guess, kasi yung una natin was more of a primer. And I hope na kahit papano may natutunan kayo from this video about risk. In the next few videos that are coming out, we're gonna get more and more in-depth and it's gonna get more and more complex. But I hope na at the end of it all, marami kayong matututunan from this series and that what you learn from here will make all of you infinitely better traders. I know that I personally improved a lot when I fixed and improved and really honed in on my risk management. And as always guys, maraming salamat po sa panonood. I really appreciate it. Good luck and happy trading!